I never figured I'd be the type of guy to scheme like this. But that all changed when I overheard my wife, Sophie, chuckling at my expense in her folks' kitchen, her words cutting deep through what I thought was 7 years of love. "He's lousy in the sack, dull, boring, broke, and dull," Sophie said, tearing me down to her family that night. I'd been the guy busting my tail 60 hours a week to chase her dreams, skipping trips to bankroll her art, even footing the bill for her jobless brother to crash at our place. That night flipped everything upside down. Not with a big blowout, but with their laughter stinging my pride. And while they cackled, I started scheming. Family dinners at the Harris house always played out the same. Sophie's mom would burn the roast, her dad would hit the wine too hard, and her brother, Ben, would roll in late, mumbling about traffic or some big networking thing. I'd just grin and bear it, playing the good son-in-law, the steady rock Sophie built her life on. That Sunday seemed no different at first. I sat through the usual grilling about my job at the investment firm, why I hadn't climbed the ladder yet, and when we'd pop out some grandkids. Sophie handled it like a pro, talking up her art career, how she was this close to making it big, how her Instagram was blowing up with 1,000 new followers that month. "Ethan gets it," she said, giving my hand a rehearsed pat. "He knows we're in this together." My phone buzzed in my pocket, probably work. I stepped into the hallway to take the call, glad for a break from the stuffy dining room. It was a client with a quick question about funds, nothing major. I wrapped it up fast, not exactly thrilled to head back to the table. That's when I heard them in the kitchen, where Sophie and her mom were supposed to be grabbing dessert. Their voices drifted through the cracked door. "Mom, I'm not sure how much longer I can do this," Sophie said. "He's awful in bed, boring as hell, broke, and bland. If it wasn't for his paycheck, I'd have ditched him already. Even Ben pays more attention to me, and he's freeloading." The whole room burst out laughing. Her mom piped up next. "You always went for the fiery ones, didn't you? Remember that trainer last Christmas, what was his name?" "Josh," Ben chimed in, and I realized the whole damn family was in there, yucking it up at my expense. "Jessica's husband, man, if she only knew." More laughs. I should have been pissed, or at least humiliated. But instead, this icy calm washed over me. I took a deep breath, fixed my tie, and strolled back into the kitchen like nothing was wrong. "Pie ready yet?" I asked, flashing a grin I'd perfected over the years. Their faces didn't give away a thing, no guilt, no shame, not even a hint of awkwardness. Sophie just handed me a slice of apple pie with a big scoop of vanilla ice cream, my favorite, like she always did. She led the way back to the dining room. Later that night, while Sophie slept like a baby next to me, I lay there, staring at the ceiling, and made up my mind. I wasn't gonna call her out or lose my cool or try to fix what was clearly broken beyond repair. Nah, I'd just vanish, but not before making sure she felt the weight of what she'd done. Sleep didn't come that night. I just plotted that next month, I put on the best act of my life. I was caring, affectionate, even threw in some spur-of-the-moment gestures, stuff Sophie always griped I didn't do enough. I'd show up with flowers on a random Tuesday, hang on every word of her tales about gallery chats or art store runs, and never once asked why her studio time now stretched to 9 or 10 at night. "You've been acting different," she said one night while we lounged on the couch, my arms slung loosely around her. "Like you're really here with me." "Just figured out what really matters," I said, planting a kiss on her forehead. "You're what counts, Sophie. I want you happy." She seemed to eat it up, snuggling in closer. "I've been eyeing that fitness watch I showed you, the one that tracks everything. My followers would go nuts seeing my workouts mixed in with my art posts." "Sounds like a smart move," I said, already thinking how that gadget could play into my plan. "Might even surprise you with it." 3 days later, I handed her the fanciest model out there, GPS, heart rate, cloud syncing, the works. She squealed, throwing her arms around me. "It links right to our home cloud," I said, setting it up for her, so even if it breaks or gets lost, your data's safe. You've got it all figured out, she said, kissing me like she meant it. This'll be great for tracking my jogs with Josh. Josh, her trainer, Jessica's husband. I gave an encouraging nod. Good to see you taking care of yourself. Maybe I'll tag along sometime. Oh, it's kind of a tailored workout, she said, quick to shut that down. Plus, you're not big on running. Fair point, I said, watching her jump on Instagram to flaunt her new toy, the perfect husband cheering on his wife's health kick. If her followers only knew the truth. The watch was just step one. Over the next few weeks, I got serious about my getaway plan. I worked from home on Wednesdays and Fridays, days Sophie thought I was stuck at the office, giving her free rein to linger at the studio. While she was out, I sorted through our finances, duplicated key paperwork, and started siphoning cash from our joint account into an offshore one I'd set up years back for a rich client who'd since passed. That account was a ghost, only me and the bank's compliance guy, who owed me one, knew it existed. $100 here, $500 there, small enough that Sophie wouldn't notice, especially since she never checked the statements. Money was my turf, and she was fine letting me handle it while she reaped the rewards. I kept tabs on her through the fitness watch. Its data backed up what I already guessed. Her studio sessions, on Tuesdays and Thursdays were really rendezvous at Josh's suburban place, timed perfectly when Jessica was off at book club or yoga. Sometimes they hit a motel, or even our house when they thought I was pulling late hours. The watch's timestamps, paired with her phone's location data on our shared cloud, painted a crystal-clear picture of her cheating. One night, over takeout from her go-to-Thai spot, she brought up a weekend trip. There's this awesome wellness spa upstate, she said, flipping through pics on her phone. 3 days of massages, meditation, organic meals, exactly what I need to recharge for my next art project. Sounds like a dream, I said. When's it happening? Next weekend. I know it's last minute, but a slot just freed up, and my gallery manager's got an in with the owner. You gotta go, I said, giving her hand a gentle squeeze. I'll miss you, but you've earned some time to unwind. Sophie almost looked let down by how easily I agreed, like she was hoping I'd put up a fight to fuel her frustration. Instead, I offered to cover the whole weekend, handing her a prepaid card. This way, you don't have to stress about a thing. I'd loaded the card with just enough for her to enjoy her getaway, no extra to get her back home. By the time she figured that out, it'd be too late. The last piece of my plan clicked when a rich client mentioned wanting a house in our area. Rather than passing him to a realtor, I pitched him a deal, our place, off the books. The house was in my name only. Sophie never batted an eye when we bought it early on, back before her art dreams made practical stuff beneath her. My wife and I are thinking smaller, I told him, keeping it smooth. We want a fast sale, no fuss. He jumped at the chance to skip a bidding war. I set it up through a quiet trust to keep my name out of public records, with the closing set for the Friday Sophie headed to her spa. 2 days before, I booked a moving company, paid cash, for Saturday morning. I told them my wife and I were splitting on good terms, and I needed to grab my stuff while she was gone to keep things smooth for her. The foreman, all heart, promised they'd be quick and keep it low-key. Everything was lined up. 7 years of marriage would vanish in one weekend. The morning Sophie left for her retreat, I kissed her goodbye at the door, her bag slung over her shoulder, her face lit up with excitement. 3 days of total relaxation, she said, practically glowing. No worries, no chores. You deserve every second of it, I said, meaning it in my own way. Don't sweat anything back here, I've got it handled. If she caught the edge in my words, she didn't let on. Her rideshare pulled up, and she was off with a wave and a blown kiss. I watched the car around the corner, then got to work. First stop was a shipping store, where I mailed a package to Jessica's office, a fancy marketing firm where she ran accounts. Inside was a USB with everything I'd collected, Sophie's fitness watch GPS data, timestamps of her whereabouts, photos with Josh that synced to our cloud, and screenshots of texts I'd nabbed from her phone while she was in the shower. I tossed in a letter. Jessica, I hate that you're finding out like this. You deserved better, hell, we both did. I don't know how long they've been at it or how deep it goes, but the proof's all here. I wanted you to have it before I'm out of the picture. What you do with it is up to you. Our spouses played us for fools, laughing behind our backs while we bust our asses for the lives they say they want. I'm not confronting Sophie. By the time this hits your desk, I'll be gone from her life. I'm not telling you what to do, but you deserve the truth. Take care, Ethan. Then I hit the bank and shut down our joint checking and savings accounts, moving what was left to a new account in my name. I'd already shifted most of our savings over the past month, but this sealed the deal. Sophie's personal account, with a little cash from selling some paintings, I left alone. That money was hers, and unlike her, I wasn't out to steal. The house sale went off without a hitch. By 3 o'clock, I wasn't a homeowner anymore, and a hefty chunk of cash had landed in my private account. I rang up Ben, who, no surprise, was still passed out from a hangover at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and told him he had until Sunday night to clear his stuff out of the house. What's going on? He slurred, half awake. Something happened. You could put it that way, I said, cool as ice. I sold the place. New owners move in Monday morning. You sold it? Does Sophie know? She'll figure it out soon enough. Start packing, anything left after Sunday gets trashed. I cut the call before he could stammer a reply, picturing him freaking out, trying to get a hold of Sophie, who'd be off in her wellness bubble by now, out of reach unless it was a dire emergency. Even then, that prepaid card I gave her wouldn't cover any early checkout fees. The movers showed up Saturday morning. I had them grab just my essentials, clothes, books, my tech gear, and a couple of keepsakes from before Sophie came into my life. All the furniture, kitchen stuff, and fancy decor she'd spent hours picking out. I left it behind. That mess was the new owner's problem starting Monday. By Saturday afternoon, my stuff was settled in a slick downtown apartment I'd rented the week before, a sharp one-bedroom with huge windows and a city view Sophie would have begged to paint. The irony hit me hard. I spent Saturday night and all of Sunday wiping Sophie from my world. I got a new phone number, switched my email, and redid every social media account. I tipped off my job about the new contact info, saying I had a personal matter that needed to stay quiet. My boss, always good about boundaries, didn't pry. I reached out to every company we dealt with, utilities, subscriptions, insurance, and scrubbed Sophie's name from anything tied to mine. By Sunday night, I'd unraveled our lives completely. Then I sat back and waited. I didn't see the fallout myself, but bits and pieces trickled in through mutual friends and the social media explosion that followed. Jessica, from what I heard, picked a hell of a stage for her showdown, Emily Johnson's baby shower on Sunday afternoon, packed with nearly every woman in their clique. Sophie, still chilling at her spa, was the only one not there. Word was, Jessica rolled in late, looking calm but ready. She held off until they were opening gifts, then stood up and apologized to Emily for what was coming. Then she whipped out her phone and started a live stream on Sophie's art Instagram, which she could access since she sometimes handled Sophie's posts. Sophie's fans ought to see the real person behind the art, she supposedly said, before laying out all the proof I'd sent, the fitness watch GPS, the location timestamps, the photos with Josh. Someone who was there called it the smoothest takedown they'd ever seen, no yelling, no insults, just stone-cold evidence dropped in front of a room full of women who thought Sophie was their genuine, artsy bestie until that moment. That Instagram live stream ran for 17 minutes, racking up over 15,000 views before the platform yanked it for breaking their rules. By then, screenshots were already bouncing around Twitter, Reddit, you name it. Sophie's whole, pure, soulful artist vibe, the one she'd spent years perfecting, fell apart right there in real time. The gym where Josh coached clients was already catching heat for trainer-client hookups, and they canned him on the spot. That athleisure company sniffing around Sophie for a sponsorship. They scrubbed every comment about her from their socials like she never existed. Meanwhile, Jessica slapped Josh with divorce papers and got a quick restraining order, pointing to his cheating and saying she didn't trust him around their kids. The judge signed off on it until they could hash it out in court. Sophie, still floating in her spa fantasy, tried to stretch her getaway when word of the chaos started hitting mutual friends who blew up her phone. That's when she found out the prepaid card I'd given her was tapped out, not a dime left. A Reddit post from a spa clerk later spilled the tea. Some desperate woman had to beg her brother to pay for her ride home Sunday night, only to learn he'd been kicked out of their house and was crashing in his car. When Sophie finally dragged herself home late Sunday, she walked into a house still full of her stuff but no longer hers by law. Our joint accounts were bone dry, her boyfriend was outed and cut off from his kids, her brother was sleeping on the streets, and her precious social media, the heart of her art brand, was drowning in comments branding her a fake, a liar, and worse. She tried reaching me, of course, calls, texts, emails, even hitting up friends, but I was a ghost. No address, no phone, no trace I'd ever been there. The only thing I sent her was divorce papers, dropped off by a courier the next week, with terms she couldn't wiggle out of. She'd keep her personal account cash and her paintings, but that was it. With the dirt I had, her lawyer told her to sign and walk away. It's been 6 months since all that went down. Word is Sophie's back with her folks, her art career toast, her friends long gone. Josh skipped town, his training gig dead in our city. Ben's scrubbing cars at a wash now. Jessica sold their place and took the kids to live near her parents. Here I am in my downtown apartment, sipping coffee and watching the sun climb over the city's skyline. My new life's a lot calmer, stripped down in a good way. I'm still at the same investment firm, but I've cut back my hours a bit. I've started taking those trips I always put off, heading solo to spots Sophie never cared for. Folks sometimes ask if I'm pissed or if I wish I'd called her out, maybe given her a shot to explain or say sorry. But what good would that have done? Sophie was never short on words, she could spin a story like nobody's business. Her actions, though, they showed me who she really was. I never yelled, never slung insults, never even let on that I knew she'd stabbed me in the back. I just walked away, carefully, completely, no looking back. The real payback wasn't what I took from her, the cash, the house, the security. It wasn't even the public fallout, though she earned that one herself. Nah, the best revenge was never giving her the big showdown she probably wanted, where she could play the victim or the sorry wife. I shut down her chance to twist our story into one where I was the uptight husband, the dull guy she'd outgrown, the jerk who couldn't handle her shine. My silence killed that script. Instead, I left her staring at the raw truth. She bet it all on thinking I was just what she told her family that night, a boring, bland pushover. She never saw me pulling off an exit so clean, so quietly crushing. Sometimes the loudest message is the one you don't say. I didn't need to shout to make her feel my absence. The void I left said it all. I take another swig of coffee, watching the morning sun light up the city below. For the first time in 7 years, I'm living life my way. I'm not gonna say I'm happy, not quite yet, but I've got peace. Some betrayals you can't forgive, some scars don't ever fade. But this whole mess taught me something big, loyalty's worth something, not because others earn it, but because it shapes who you are. Sophie showed her true colors in her parents' kitchen that night, and over the next few months, I showed mine, a guy who doesn't talk much but acts when it counts, who doesn't need to yell to make a point, who knows the hardest hit you can land isn't a fight, but walking away. I finish my coffee, set the mug down, and gear up for another day in this life I've carved out. The city's buzzing with potential outside. I slide open the balcony door, step into the crisp morning air, and take a deep breath. The view from up here's better than I ever dreamed. And that's the end of my story for now. If you liked hearing it, give this a thumbs up and maybe toss a comment my way. It helps get my tale out there. If you're new around here, hit that subscribe button, it keeps me sharing more stories like this. Thanks for sticking with me, and I'll catch you next time.